What is going on? Welcome to Truth Wizard, or welcome back to Truth Wizard. Of course, as always, it's good to see you. Thank you for joining. It is good to be here. Hope you had a good week. Today's video, let me go ahead and get it all out in the open right now. This is very, very highly likely going to be not well received, which doesn't really matter because being this channel is so new, I have negligible subscribers and views, so it is what it is. But I'm going to just make it anyway because it doesn't. I want to talk about it. I want to get this out, and just I want, even if 2 people respond, that's fine. I'm dying to hear some other feedback about the situation. The situation of Epstein. I do not believe that most of what's in these files is authentic. If it is authentic, I really do not believe that average, ordinary citizens, some internet sleuths, figured out and decoded emails in a matter of a week, 2 weeks, whatever it was. So we have a situation here. Let me listen carefully. First of all, before I go any further, if you are not going to watch this video with a truly neutral stance, if you cannot listen to someone just shoot the breeze, I am not absolving anyone of any wrongdoing. I am not taking up or defending anyone if they did any wrongdoing. If you choose to ignore those words, if you choose to believe that I'm just saying that because I have to, that's fine. That is your right to choose. I mean that sincerely. I'm not defending anyone. I'm not taking up for anyone involved in any wrongdoing. I'm not insinuating anyone is innocent of any wrongdoing whatsoever. I am just asking questions. And for some reason, it just seems to be, if you ask questions, it seems to be a problem these days. People all of a sudden think you're on a whole different team, or they think you're stupid. I've mentioned this in many previous videos. I think it's a real problem. I think it's actually a massive problem that people are scared to think just on their own, independently and freely, to where I'm assuming it's a social problem, that maybe if I don't say what the rest of the herd is saying, I'm going to be isolated and left out on my own. And so I don't want that. Oh man, I don't want to feel, just like the pariah and just left out in the cold all by myself. I want to blend in. Yeah, all the babies are being eaten. Where is the evidence for this, people? Where? If you go to a channel, The Free Press on YouTube, they have 2 videos up. One is 8 hours and the other one is pretty damn close. It's like 5 to 8 hours, or one is 8 to 10 hours. The other is 5 to 8. Either way, it is a shit ton of footage. Epstein files. These are video files that were released. Have you seen those? Did you watch those? I did. It was boring as fuck. It was all redacted. You couldn't see anything. There was a little bit of audio, so you knew it was some adult happenings. But I'm going to tell you this. What the few things that were adult-like happenings, there was much other footage here that was not. Or it was implied because it was redacted. You're assuming something's happening, but I heard giggles. I heard laughs. I didn't see, or well, nobody saw. I didn't hear anything that seemed like it was forced upon anybody. I damn sure didn't see any little tiny humans being barbecued, trophied around, hibachied. Where is all the evidence? I don't know who this is going to reach. The age demographic this is going to reach. You know what? I have no idea. 5 views, 5,000 views. I don't know. What I'm saying with that is raise your hand if you lived through an entire decade of hearing, and I quote, well, if you read it on the internet, it must be true. Ha 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 ha. And you know when you heard that? You heard that slogan when you had a conversation with somebody about a conspiracy theory. That's what you got told. That's what I heard personally for a long time in my life. UFOs, mass sightings, not just a few people, decades, multiple decades of people seeing things. So let's assume just a numbers game. A lot of those folks did see, incorrectly. They misidentified a plane, a helicopter, a blimp. I don't know, whatever. Okay. Yeah, absolutely. That happens. Millions of people. The mass sighting that happened. What was that? Arizona, California, something. I forget. I came ill prepared. It was a huge mass sighting. I'm almost certain in the 90s that it was big, like across multiple states and cities, and millions of people saw this. They're all delusional. But when you tell somebody, hey man, I mean, no, there is some kind of proof. Well, I saw this guy, online, is, yada, yada, yada. Oh, well, if you saw on the internet, it must be true, right? This was the attitude of people, society, your neighbors, your family, for a long time. Anything you saw on the internet was assumed to be automatically invalid. So now we've come from no one believing anything that was watched or read on the internet when it came to conspiracies, government, again, UFOs, aliens, weather modification, chemtrails, food, chemicals in food, corporate scandals, connections, families, bloodlines, you name it. No one really believed shit. It was just you got laughed at. So we went from that to now, if you don't just blindly believe what everyone suddenly believes that they all now find from the internet, now it's the complete opposite. Now everything on the internet is true as long as it fits your narrative. Isn't that wild how that shifted in I don't know, man, 15 years? Long enough for the Gen Zers to grow up. So the same generation that I recall when I was in my mid-late 20s, I remember hearing about the infamous Gen Zers at this point and how they were being coddled. And they were the generation growing up on a trophy system. You play sports, your team loses. No, you didn't lose. You're still winners, guys. Yeah, you deserve this trophy. Y'all, you tried your best. No, you fucking lost. You lost. You might have tried your best, but you lost. They were better than you. I don't know how much of that was blown out of proportion in terms of Gen Zers being coddled and babied and the new age of parenting, the iPad babies, and just even, again, it's okay. No, don't do that. Now, no. And then your child's an absolute fucking monster. And now in adult life, look around, man. Look the fuck around. everything is traumatic. Someone sees a cardboard box blowing down the street in a thunderstorm. Oh my God, the horror. I'm traumatized. I need a safe space. This is my space. The fuck, dude? So the point I'm making is this. Now, that same thought process, those same people, if you challenge their narrative that they've just created their own bubble, they live in an echo chamber, challenge any of that, and suddenly now you're the enemy. You're the problem. I dislike government. I am affiliated with zero parties, truly. I've said this over and over in videos and in life. And for some reason, no one seems to believe that. I don't know why, but you keep getting accused of being supportive of some way, one or the other. I don't like any of them. I've been saying this for a long time. They are all the same. This is not news to me. I've said this for well over 10 years at this point. But if you defend any of them, where they might need defending, if you defend any of them for, and them being politicians or anybody, for the sake of an argument, just to be objective and just to try to look at something from a different perspective, a new and different perspective, all of a sudden people will lose their minds. And I think it's a really bad place to be in, man. It's a really bad place to be in. If you are so devoted to any narrative in life that the minute you are incapable of communicating with somebody because you now are only hearing what you want to hear, you're not actually listening. You're not actively listening. You're hearing what you want to hear. While I am speaking, your brain you're still turning, and not like you're constantly having a counterpoint and you are good debater, so you can do this and multitask. No. You're just emotionally enraged that I am not just blindly following the 90% plus herd and the thought process. So if you're that kind of person, if you haven't already left, you might as well go ahead and fucking leave now, because we're going to be in for it. If you're still here and you're interested and you are an adult and you have a working brain and you want to just hear something out, and this is nothing crazy, I promise you, this is nothing that's like over the top insane. It's really not. It's just not what everybody else is saying and thinking, and I'm not going to act like that. I'm not going to pretend that I'm going to be like that. It's a waste of time, man. I am me. I have my own thoughts. I've had my own thoughts, and I'm going to express them. So if you're okay with that, if you survive the first 14 minutes of a solo rant, if you are intrigued at all, stick around. We're going to get into it. Like, subscribe, please, and thank you. Okay, so let me just start by saying I am not absolving anyone of any crimes or wrongdoing if they were truly done. I am not excusing and okaying any behavior if that was truly done. I am not defending any political party of any type, any side, any gender, any non-gender, anything, nothing. I am not a fan of the political system. I am not a fan of how the BS laws we have in place that are obvious just money grabs in forms of control or brainwash. I'm not for it. I'm just a guy that likes to use my brain and think about things. And I'm also going to not look where the masses are looking, because that's typically where you should be looking. And you can take that lesson from investing even. We're not going to get into that, but if any of you invest at all in anything, it's not a lie that typically by the time you start seeing everyone talking about this next millionaire maker company, wop, wop, wah, when everyone is running and screaming for the hills and panicking and it's over, everything's going to zero, that's when you're buying. the masses are all saying and doing. Oh my goodness. Little animated much? My goodness. What the masses are all saying and doing. Sorry. I've learned to look the other way. And also, isn't it funny that people have been running around screaming, they're dividing us. Oh, it's a tactic. They're trying to divide us. They're keeping us divided. So we just left an era where everyone was running around screaming how the government is dividing us all. But now the government, everyone is agreeing with everybody on these emails, what's in the emails, or so it seems. You're being told exactly what they need to tell you. You're being told, quite frankly, what you want to hear. Do you really think that we have a situation where you have a international situation involving governments, plural, of different countries, different leaders, even just here localized in the States? You have decades of demonic, baby-eating Satanists that were doing this right in front of you, or hid it so incredibly well. But now it's taken 2 weeks and some Gen Z or YouTubers to go online and decode some shit and just connect all the proper dots, figured out everything. And the same government that we have all agreed and can recognize is so divisive towards its citizens, things they do, things these politicians will say and do, it's to promote that division so you aren't unified. But suddenly, now we're all agreeing on this. No one finds that suspect at all. So I am the only crazy person that just thinks that this is obviously kind of fucking insane, and a lot of this is not real. Or there's a much bigger picture is the thing. There is a much larger picture at play. But people are never going to see that by design. They don't want you to, because we're all focused on the same shit. Which, by the way, there still is no proof. Emails are not proof. They are not. Whether you like that answer or not, an email is not definitive, actual proof of any of this shit. Unfortunately, that's the way it is. And funny enough, you've had video evidence of UFOs for, fuck man, let's just go back 10, 15 years. Yeah, the quality, camera quality 15 years ago wasn't that great. Why would it be? It's the best we've got. You show it to somebody, man, that could be anything. Oh, is this recorded with a potato? Man, that ain't nothing. But now, all of a sudden, anything is solid proof. Now, all of a sudden, just words that could have been generated by AI, that could have been photoshopped by your lovely FBI or CIA. And no one, you say this out loud, and people lose their minds about it, because I'm not gushing with emotion and saying what needs to be said. I'm not saying what everybody else is saying. Oh my God, this is so terrible. No, it's terrible if it's happening, but I have a lot more questions. And it'd be nice to be able to have a conversation with your fellow citizens, whoever that might be, about this, because I think there's a bigger picture here going on. And people are missing that because they're so fixated on Satanists eating babies, and there's zero evidence of this. There's not evidence. And if there is evidence that someone's keeping it, if that's really the case, that's unfortunate, because that still means that We still aren't seeing it. So technically speaking, we still don't have the evidence because no one's actually seen it. Go to the Free Press on YouTube. Go to the Free Press and look up the two videos that they've provided for us with, again, 5-8 hours plus of Epstein file videos. You cannot make out anything. Nothing. And I see comments. I went to the comments specifically at these videos to look. And it's wild. You cannot see anything on those videos. You can't make out anything. And people are, well, people or bots, you know, maybe to just stir the pot here, help drive a narrative, perhaps. Nah, they would never do that, would they? Of course not. Not your government at all. Not at all. No, who are they? I mean, guys, the comments in these videos, again, everything is redacted. You can't see shit. And people, oh, this is so terrible. I can't believe it. And you go to some of these like hour marks of this alleged torture, and it's just a black fucking screen. You see that much color or a chair or a desktop, and the rest is all blurred. What are you talking about? So again, this is either bots saying shit that needs to be said to evoke this emotion out of people to get this certain response, or people are absolutely fucking stupid. And it's a little bit of both, quite frankly. Now, please, you've been hanging in there for quite some time. Let's start this video reel. And I'm going to do this. I promise I'm going to have minimal interruptions in this. We're going to get through it. We're already easily over 20 minutes in here, and I've just been rambling. So if you are still here, I love you so much for that. Thank you. And let's just fucking get into this. I said, let's just fucking get into this. Oh, it's not going to work. Okay, great.
When it comes to Epstein, I think we're ignoring a much bigger story here. One that deals with DNA, AI, and transhumanism. No. Let's get into it. Juliette Bryant, one of the Epstein survivors, went on a podcast and was talking about a chilling account that happened at Epstein's New Mexico estate, where she woke up unable to move in a laboratory surrounded by scientists. Said they weren't doing the thing that everybody associates with Epstein. She said, quote, they were doing something else, something they don't want anyone to know about. They did something to me and I want to know what. That's why I won't stop until I find out. January, when over 5,000 pages of Epstein court docs were released, we learned that Epstein has very deep ties in academia, and that many of the people that were named were Harvard professors and MIT professors. So let's get into some of their work. Before we do, it's important to note that Epstein was documented to having a great interest in cloning, DNA, and transhumanism, the belief that the human brain and body can and should be artificially enhanced using modern science and technology. Okay, first up.
By the way, quickly, important to note, this is sheer speculation, but his ranch, I've seen two conflicting accounts of where his ranch is at, and then I had to look it up. So if the satellite image provided was correct, and I believe it to be correct, closer to Santa Fe than it was Dulce, but you do realize that Dulce, New Mexico, it's another conspiracy theory, but there is allegedly a underground military installation that allegedly was into human alien genetic experiments. That is a legit conspiracy theory. There is no record of this said base. It would be denied all day, but that is allegedly a thing. Now, if you also were to believe that there are underground tunnels connecting various cities in the United States from coast to coast, mind you, could we maybe, possibly, maybe have a tunnel that were to go, if the base did exist, Would it be unfathomable that there's a tunnel that goes from Zorro Ranch to the Dulce base, given that it's only 100 something miles away, 3 hours and 20 minutes from where the base allegedly would be, the ranch? And also, I saw allegedly a lab of sorts at the Zorro Ranch where he had his interest in genetics, conveniently enough. I thought it was very interesting that it was so close in proximity to an alleged base that does not exist. Jesus, that like to do experiments with aliens and human genetic things of sorts, and he was into that. But just want to throw that out there. Let's move on.
We have George Church. He's a famous geneticist and he is a professor at MIT and Harvard Medicine. He's most famously known for his de-extinction work, like reviving the woolly mammoth. He's also known for pioneering DNA data storage, encoding digital files into biological molecules, and the list goes on. And a lot of his work was funded by, you guessed it, Epstein. So we have a guy named Martin Nowak, and he's a Harvard mathematician, most famously known for his program at Harvard called Evolutionary Dynamics with the acronym PED, which is a little concerning considering his connections with Epstein. But either way, Epstein funded over $7 million to that program. And Nowak gave Epstein an office and a key card and free reign at the PED meetings. When Harvard found out about this, they said that he breached policy, and Nowak got a 2-year suspension from the school, and they ended his program. Last, we have Martin Minsky, who is known as the father of AI, and for good reason. He built the first neural network simulator. He's also authored many books on AI. He was named specifically.
Quickly. Are we reading this correctly? That this gentleman here co-founded an AI laboratory with John McCarthy in 1959? And so we think that the tech we have now is all we've got? I mean, I would, at this point, I would assume you guys or gals would know better. I didn't know that, though. That seems to be an interesting time. That's a time when I thought they were still going to the malt shops and holding hands was getting crazy, but no, we got AI labs in 1959. Very interesting.
In the court docs by some of the Epstein victims. A picture of Minsky and Epstein. It's important to note that the two of them organized symposiums on AI at Epstein Island between 2002 and 2011.
Again, let me just point out, so what? So this is the problem too. This is what some of this video is about. So now you've got a billionaire, Epstein, a scientist that he's giving funding to, I'm sure, shared interests, and they go to his private island to meet. Again, the accusations and the insinuating that it was always, they went to the island, can we fucking stop? All the actors and actresses, this person was mentioned in the Epstein, all these, do you really think they were all implicated? Here's the thing, again, I very well could be wrong and could be laughed off of YouTube. And that's, I guess that'll be fine. I'll have to deal with that as it comes. But not every single person in there, you don't have any proof of this. So for you or anybody to just see this and run wild with speculation, it's madness, man. It's fucking insane. I mean, yeah, the guy had an island. Again, am I saying nothing happened there that was bad? No. When did you hear me say that? I haven't, and I won't, because I don't doubt some shit probably went down. I just don't know. I don't know like you don't know. But we got to stop like with this anytime something was mentioned or somebody was like it may truly unfortunately the reality might actually be it wasn't always criminal or something was just totally off.
At Church and Minsky, even though there's no record that they ever collaborated, both explored how to redesign and mimics life's building blocks. Church did it through DNA and Minsky did it through AI. OpenCog, the AI project Minsky co-founded and Epstein funded, aimed for artificial general intelligence, a concept that could theoretically integrate with Church's bioengineering. If you imagine uploading enhanced genomes into digital minds. In other words, they might be able to create the real life Westworld. I think this is just the tip of the iceberg, but yeah. I believe there was a lot more going on at the island and in New Mexico than what the mainstream media narrative has always been. So as the Epstein list is released in the next couple of days or months, I think we need to take a closer look at the names on the list and really dig in. What do you think about all of this? Let me know down below.
I don't know who that is, but I like her a lot. You know why I like her a lot? First of all, she presents the information so much better than myself. She can not get so worked up about it, clearly. I don't know how anybody could see that and just not care. Here's the thing, hear me out. I am not saying that that should overshadow trafficking, things of that nature, if that really took place and happened, as they say. But I don't know how that is not being talked about, like way more. And like she said, how is this not being covered by actual journalists that work for reputable news outlets? How are all these wildly successful and intelligent YouTubers not covering this and digging deep on this and talking about it? It's fucking mind-blowing, man. This is why I say there is more to Epstein than what anyone is noticing or cares to notice. And I honestly think, let me go ahead and give you the theory. You're either going to hear this and exit swiftly, or you're going to hear this and say, maybe he's onto something. I'm starting to wonder, I cannot confirm, but I am starting to wonder if maybe this man was totally set up and framed because of maybe work he had done, things he was into. I had no idea Epstein worked for Bear Stearns until the interview I saw with him. That was 2 hours. We're gonna watch that together very, very, very soon. It's not revealing in terms of the alleged baby eating and trafficking situation. It's revealing as to kind of how he thought and saw things and what he was interested in and his take on the financial system, which I think is pretty, I don't know, pretty massive, I guess you could say is a good word, talking about our financial system, stateside, let alone internationally. And he had such a hand in that, such a mind for it. No one finds this intriguing. Am I really the only person? Luckily, the answer is no. I finally found someone who is much more intelligent than myself, although I am no dummy, but I am not this man. However, let me introduce you to this guy. You might know him. Eric Weinstein, whatever. Brilliant guy. He's a mathematician, physicist. He's also an investor. Very brilliant man. He's been on many a shows, many a podcast, and I've got some clips that we're gonna watch of this gentleman right here. And let's see what he has to say. Because I'm proud to say that I've been saying this about Epstein for a while and started seeing genetics, and on the radar and things he was into, and started realizing there is way more to him than what anybody else is seeing or thinking. Really, if they see it, it's kind of just dismissed. And I've tried bringing this up to other people, and nobody really cares. Like, they don't want to have that conversation. We go back to baby eating and human trafficking. Could that be a setup? Could that have been the cover to discredit Epstein, to make him look a certain way, to tarnish a reputation? So if anything else got out that he knew about or was doing, it would no longer have any validity? I don't know. Is that possible? Well, golly gee, I guess it is. I don't know why it wouldn't be.
Do you believe that that's what Jeffrey Epstein was?
You met him. Was he a disgraced financier?
Jeffrey Epstein was absolutely connected to the Harvard Math Department. I want to know why.
How was he connected to the math department?
You're pushing me to say things I'm not going to say. But I don't mind.
I'm curious. I'm not trying to push you.
I understand, but I'm just not going to do it. I don't know who he was. I don't know who ran him. He certainly was not a financier in any standard sense.
Really?
That was a cover story, yes.
The way that we know Jeffrey Epstein, in the UK especially, is just this guy who was this rich guy who had this island, who brought people there and then did these despicable things.
Do you believe that that's what Jeffrey Epstein was?
You met him. Was he a
tell
disgraced financier?
He wasn't a financier the day I met him.
What was he?
He was a weird guy who didn't seem to know a lot about currency trading.
When you say a weird guy, what made him weird?
I'm not going to go back through that. My point is, you're getting a different interview. Jeffrey Epstein knew a tremendous amount about my work when nobody knew anything about my work. And he had a pipeline into me that I didn't understand, which is that he was connected to my graduate program. And you can check out the conference called Exploring Gravity.
Was it a gravity conference?
Yeah.
It was about gravity?
Yeah.
What the fuck was he doing talking about bloody gravity? He's a financier.
It was very important to get Nobel laureates and some of the smartest people on earth to come to the Virgin Islands and talk about gravity. Stephen Hawking was there. David Gross was there. Lawrence Krauss was there. Lisa Randall was there right before his conviction. And I'm telling you, he was very focused on the Harvard Math Department. And he knew all about me in ways that he wasn't supposed to.
I have to be clear on my understanding of what you're saying. What I'm hearing is you believe that Jeffrey Epstein was not a financier. He was planted in some way to...
He was a construct, is what I said.
He was a construct in some way to mess with the progression of physics.
When I met him, when the meeting was over, I immediately called my wife and I said, this person is not who they claim to be. Somebody has constructed this human being to be something that they are not. Jeffrey Epstein was a construct of something. Part of the problem with calling his plane the Lolita Express and calling his island Pedophile Island is that you just can't see all the different things that were going through this guy.
Came up with the term quark, Q-U-A-R-K. He picked it out of an old poem, the word quark, but it was mysterious. So they were starting to understand in the 90s that our world of the physics world, there was things that were just unexplainable. They called it strange things. You gave it a name. You gave it some characteristics. You called it had charm, was one of the terms. It had a charm. It had a flavor. It had a color. But no one, Mr. Bannon, understood what it was. Just like the financial system.
And you wanted to investigate that?
I wanted to see if we could build tools so others smarter than me could help investigate it.
And that was the beginning of your concept of the Santa Fe Institute.
Yes.
And Santa Fe Institute was founded to do study in this type of...
Can these areas of strange things be described by some form of mathematics?
Somehow knew that my work, which technically would have been about something called self-dual Yang-Mills equations, was actually about gravity. He was very focused on gravity, and which this is going to come up in the UFO disclosures, which is that the UFO weirdness is not just about UFOs. It's about the golden age of general relativity and U.S. attempts to gain control over additional forces of nature. There are 4 forces of nature. We know how to control 2 of them somewhat, the strong force and the electromagnetic force. The strong force is what we got control of in 1945 and took out 2 cities in Japan. So what happens when you can control gravity? This is absolutely national interest. The national security apparatus has completely fallen down on the job. Nobody's picked up on what kind of a spy he was. And the idea that this is some sort of auxiliary thing that he was doing with respect to science, when the main story is just about the sexual misdeeds, this is not true. I mean, his operation, I think in part, was about spying on scientists.
Seems like
That part. Let me say it again so we're all clear. I do not know. I have no proof of anything. I don't know either way if my theory and assumptions or my ideas, my thought processes are correct. I don't know if they're incorrect. I can't tell you that he was cooking babies on his island. I can't tell you that he wasn't. And unfortunately for you guys, maybe not you specifically, or maybe you specifically, you can't say any of that either with any certainty at all on either side. This is very intriguing. This is why I don't know. If I get more definitive proof, something, I will change my mind. I'm allowed to. It's okay if I'm wrong. It's okay if the questions that I ask, even just myself, and I do my own digging, if they turn up to be silly questions, so be it. Who the fuck cares? Like, why is this a big deal? I talked about this videos ago. Why are people so terrified of being wrong? Ooh. You're probably more terrified of someone else's opinion of what's going to come out of your mouth and then you being judged. Like you will probably have judged me, or somebody didn't even make it 15 minutes in the video just based on my thoughts, not my personality, not how I'm presenting the information. They don't agree with what I was saying at all, and it just pissed them off and they left, and I'm being mocked, ridiculed, or just completely just disregarded as a whole. And I'm fine with that. That's their right to do that. I am just not going to care about your opinion about me for asking questions. Because if we can real quick, and we're going to get right back into this, really asking questions is kind of, I would imagine, has a part in where we are today with technology, right? So if you have a group of scientists who say, hey, we've got this pesky internet problem all worked out, and then they try to start the old internet up and it doesn't work. Well, that's strange. This was just working the other day. I wonder what happened. I wonder what I'm making shit up because I don't know anything about the internet intricately. I don't think anybody does. And they say, well, wow, what went on? And here comes another group of scientists. Oh, well, let me ask you, have you done X, Y, Z things? Did you do this? Did you do that? Have you tried that? Well, maybe you missed something. Do you see where I'm going with this? Maybe those questions they asked are the reason we have functioning internet. Maybe those questions that were asked are the reason some of these people in labs are finding, breakthroughs in medication. Well, you would think and hope we're doing that at this point, which that's a whole different topic because we're clearly not. But, again, the questions and search for those answers for those questions is seemingly what got us here as a civilization, right? Having the knowledge now that we have by asking questions, coming up with theories, a hypothesis, testing that hypothesis, searching for those answers. So that being said, I just don't think it's wrong. I don't think I should feel bad about asking questions. I'm not downplaying anybody, anything in particular. I'm just being truly objective. I'm not spewing emotional word vomit because I think that's what other people should hear, and I'll fit in if I say these things, and then I'll be a part of the cool kids club on the internet and just be so shocked and appalled. I can't I want to know what the fuck's going on, because there is way more going on than what we're being told.
A good opportunity to bring up Jeffrey Epstein. What do you think about him? What do you think he was intelligence?
I'm confident he was intelligence. Yeah.
This is a thing that I've had debates with people too, is that I've had people tell me that blackmail is not a real thing. Blackmail is useless. That there's no reason that this guy would be bringing scientists and politicians to some island to get some sort of dirt on them for some sort of, to hold blackmail over their head for favors.
I agree with that.
You do.
Blackmail is effective in the very short term, right? If you need somebody to give you something and you have information that you can really hold over his head, he might end up confessing to his own side. He might end up killing himself, which happens with some frequency. So it's only going to work for you for a little bit. I don't think that was necessarily the case with Jeffrey Epstein. I'm convinced that Jeffrey Epstein was working for Mossad, and I'm convinced that he was working for Mossad for a long time. He fit the profile, I'll put it that way, of what we would call an access agent.
An access agent.
Yeah. So Jeffrey Epstein's not going to give you classified information because he doesn't have access to classified information. That's not why he would have been working for Mossad. Let's say Mossad wants access to a former president of the United States, a member of the British royal family, the greatest minds on Wall Street, who are willing to talk
Epstein.
when their guard is down and their pants are off about the people that they know and the people that they're talking to. You think Bill Clinton didn't talk to Barack Obama? Of course he did.
Right.
Presidents and former presidents talk all the time to get advice from one another. All the time. So you're going to get somebody who's Jewish, who loves money, and who loves Israel, and you're going to get him to
The U.S. government?
invite all these people down to his private island, put them in compromising positions, and just get them talking. And then you report back everything. Everything. Because it's not necessarily the guy as much as it is the people that the guy has access to. I'll give you another example. When I was in training, one of our instructors said that the best recruitment he ever had in his life was a copy machine repairman. He said, now, does the copy machine repairman have any access to classified information? Of course not. But what happens when the copy machine breaks in the prime minister's office? They got to have it fixed. So you recruit this guy, just wait till it breaks or needs service. And then when he goes to repair it or to service it, he puts in a device that every time somebody makes a copy, it sends another copy back to Langley.
Mm.
And so you see literally everything that the prime minister is seeing. That's access. The repairman's not, you're not going to win a medal because you recruited a repairman. You're going to win the medal because you got the repairman to compromise the prime minister.
So kids, if you haven't seen last time's episode, I don't think it was Jeffrey Epstein. I don't understand why we're so focused on this man. Why aren't we focused on whatever created him? Like, this is really weird. We can't think. Take half of all the time you spend thinking about Jeffrey Epstein, talking about Jeffrey Epstein, everybody talking about it, and spend half of that time saying, what do we think about whoever was behind Jeffrey Epstein? Whatever was behind Jeffrey Epstein is what I think cared about gravity. cared about space-time, cared about physics.
And you get to use this supposed financier as a wedge to be able to start to break this open.
Well, this is the thing. If I'm looking, there's a picture of Lisa Randall at this conference. Nobody's worried about the sexual depravity of Lisa Randall. This is stupid. Lisa Randall's an amazing physicist.
But why not? She went to the island, right? I'm sure she was in the files. I'd be willing to bet you could probably search her name in the files and she'll appear. So naturally, she's also eating children, right? She's a part of all of it, man, clearly. You see why my blood pressure is a little elevated with this topic and how it just blows my mind that people can't just have a pause and look at this truly objectively. Again, you have no idea how elated I was to find an individual who is, I would assume by most standards, is extremely intelligent, and to some degree, he is asking the same questions that I was asking, or even just being vocal about, months and quite frankly, a couple of years ago that started with me. And I had no idea this footage existed, so yeah, I was thrilled when I found it. Is this the smoking gun that just confirms, like, is he 100% correct? No, again, of course not. Of course not. We're just asking questions. But I believe, I'm believing, like Fox Mulder, X-Files, baby. I want to believe that it's not just him and myself that have a working brain that can objectively and just neutrally look at this and say, something's not right. This is not the whole story. There's more to this. Way more to this. And this is probably a distraction. And some of this is probably sensationalized. Some of this could be downright just fraudulent. You're being told a bunch of bullshit. Would your government, though, like, hold on, whoa, Truth Wizard, you're telling me the government would just plant people and call them victims when they're really not? They wouldn't do that, would they? I don't know. I don't know. I'm just a dumbass on the internet, right? I'm a guy that's called himself a truth wizard on the fucking internet. So I don't know what I'm saying. I have no idea. Do I think that the government would do that? You bet your sweet ass I do.
He was interested in physics. Jeffrey Epstein, whatever he represented, cared about physics.
Does that make you more or less nervous?
Well, you have to appreciate, I have no idea why my country, the United States of America, doesn't care about physics anymore.
What we know from psychology research and what we know just from 400 years of doing experimental science, the least reliable evidence you can bring to the table is eyewitness testimony. The methods and tools of science are conceived and designed to reduce as much as possible your sensory measures of the world. Your brain, your ears, your smell, your sight. These are so fault-ridden as to be practically useless in any scientific investigation. That doesn't mean that you didn't see a UFO. I'm just saying, if you see something that you've never seen before, there's a higher likelihood your account of it is going to be flawed than if you had some other way to measure what's going on. So all I would tell UFO people is, if you see aliens from another planet, that's extraordinary. I need better evidence than your eyewitness testimony.
Of course.
Next time you're abducted and you're laying there in the slab and they're poking you, tell the aliens, look over there, and then steal the ashtray off the shelf, put it in your pocket, and then come back off the ship, bring that to the lab. Then we have something of alien manufacture that we can then evaluate.
Eyewitness testimony is probably the most unreliable evidence that can be presented to court. People forget things. From what they see to when they're questioned later on, oftentimes changes. Small details that they don't pick up on, their subconscious allows them to fill in the blanks later on, and those blanks that they fill in are usually incorrect. Eyewitness accounts, sure, they're very important, but you definitely want to get something to back up what they're saying. If you can provide the footage, video footage of the actual accident, that speaks volumes.
Silence. People think that his product.
So here's the thing. I put those in here for a reason, because when I tell you I'm unbiased, I really try to be as much as possible. That goes against my own narratives that I like and my beliefs, okay? So here's the problem, man. If I sit here and give grief to scientists, NASA, the government, right? And I hate when I feel like I see, not when I feel, when I do see videos of people that see a UFO and then we're told, oh, you didn't see a UFO, you saw ice crystals and it was this bouncing off of that and it was the light refraction, blah, 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 blah. I feel like you're being gaslit, right? I'm like, no, dude, I know what the fuck I saw, man. Like I saw XYZ things. However, it seems as if we're just being, once again, truly objective, right? And we are not diving into conspiracy land, there obviously is some truth in the fact that I witnessed, my own eyes included. Unfortunately, I did missee. I did not see right. I didn't know what I was looking at. And I assumed, I filled in the blanks that I saw an alien. You saw a little twinkle of this and a dash of that in the night sky. And that's what? What is that, Mr. Truth? A UFO, of course. Because old Truth Wizard believes in those UFOs and he wants to believe in them so bad and have that validation that his beliefs and thoughts are in fact real. It makes sense, even against myself. So what I'm saying is, even if you have people that maybe experienced or saw certain things, if it was so traumatizing, how can you trust what they saw 20 years ago, 15 years ago, 30, 35 years ago? I'm not trying to discredit them. I'm not trying to say that what happened, if that happened, doesn't matter. Or anything that's just could be deemed heartless or cruel or whatever. But what I'm saying is there not room for error in this? And then with a little bit of coaching from media or government people, perhaps, maybe, possibly, these people, these women were coerced into saying certain things and then, oh yeah, no, this did happen. No, I guess you're right. That makes sense. Do you see what I'm saying? Maybe they were influenced by all the certain types of people to make something appear a certain way to distract. Again, I'm not saying for sure that's what it was. I'm not trying to discredit. I'm not saying I don't believe all these people. I'm just asking fucking questions, man, because I think they should be asked still. Let's carry on.
It was sex or finance, but it was silence. I'm pretty sure.
What does that mean?
If you're scary enough, look, rich people can get sex, but they can't necessarily get people to shut up afterwards. So my take on it instantly was, this is not an actual human. This is a construct of someone's. Someone has created a fake human being called Jeffrey Epstein, who's a mysterious currency trading financier with crazy rules so that no one would ever invest with him. And I think that was to keep people from seeking his investment services.
Huh? No.
I mean, he's labeled disgraced financier, but nobody has a record of trading with him.
he was sitting there. He comes into the meeting and he says, well, Eric, I was just doing some currency trading. And I thought about that scene that you sometimes see and as a meme with Steve Buscemi with a skateboard over his shoulder.
Hello, fellow kids. Teenagers. Hello, fellow financial traders.
So I'm thinking, you don't really look like a rich guy who trades in markets.
The thing that I'm finding myself intrigued by here is it takes a moderate amount of cognitive horsepower to be able to piece together this theater that you sat down at.
Yeah.
Deployed in a nefarious, malicious, manipulative way.
Mm-hmm.
But it's smart.
What do you mean it's smart? Say more.
It's not something that could be done by a simple mind.
You think he did it?
Oh, he has a team of manipulators?
No, when I say I think he was a construct, I literally mean that. I think he was constructed, like fitted with a story.
Oh, so you think he was a plant?
No, I think he was a construct.
What's that? Okay, you're going to have to dig into.
I think Jeffrey Epstein, super genius financier, was not a thing that existed. Where did the money come from? You're going to mumble Lex Wexner? Okay, so that's what you mumble. But then, there's this missing fortune of Robert Maxwell and this fortune of Jeffrey Epstein that we can't explain. Are those the same fortune? Now, it's like a conservation of money principle, that if you have a fortune that's missing and you have a fortune that can't be explained and they're connected by Ghislaine Maxwell, I don't know. Why is it that no hedge funds, what is it? They file form, I forget if it's 13F. There's certain forms that you have to file. Nobody's ever asked for these things. Who's his prime broker? Where has somebody gone over the prime brokerage? What are his trades?
Never thought about that.
He would have to move the market if he was, doing a yard of euros or Swiss francs or who knows what, as like $1 billion. That would move the market. So there's no way you can fake retroactively a hedge fund of immeasurable size that trades currencies. I don't think he was a currency trader. He told me.
The market, a whole different topic. I don't know how many of you invest traditional crypto, whatever, what you know, what you don't know, but that is a whole different topic. And yeah, when you see some of these moves made and the trading that's done daily and the volume of money, and then you've got radio silence, and then out of nowhere, you've got massive gains. Well, massive for, the stock market, 2%, 3% relative. That's also a very good point. Very intriguing. If you don't know about that, it can be a little much, but it's going to take some digging. But you should look into the stock market, even the news cycle. Why I believe, and it's pretty obvious. I mean, like the 24-hour news cycle, once that started up, and how the news, it can affect and move markets, but really how they're assigned narratives around market movements. And it's once you see it, it's actually laughable. The market does something, and then all of a sudden here comes all the headlines. Oh, the Dow soars today to record highs over a blue jay made a nest. Like, what the fuck? what are you saying? I'm being obviously very silly here, okay? But the point is, it's crazy because there could be either positive news, positive outcomes, I don't know, man. I'm making up shit, right? But you have treaties, or you have this, you have that. You've got, inflation under control, or you've got X money printing, and nothing moves the market. But then they want to tell you that a blue jay successfully made a nest and now it's just soaring. Inversely, you have on the downside, right? It's the same thing. You could have a week of bad news. The market shrugging it off. Investors shrugging it off. Nobody gives a shit. Monday morning, a family of raccoons hit by an 18-wheeler on I-95. Oh my God. The market's down 5% because 4 raccoons got hit. This is, again, extremely stupid. I know I'm being silly, but you should look into it.
So when you say a construct, who constructs? Who's the builder?
I don't know. I would imagine some version of the intelligence community. You know, sometimes somebody's cover gets blown.
Mm-hmm.
We have a very famous, unfortunate story of Eli Cohn with the Mossad, where Eli Cohn was an Egyptian Jew who was fitted with a backstory that he was an Argentinian playboy who'd made a fortune in Argentina, but was Arabic in origin. And then he moves to Damascus and he takes out an apartment where he holds orgies and becomes the best friend of Hafez al-Assad, right? And so that's an example of a story we know. We know how the intelligence communities of the world create people who don't really exist.
Construction of, I know that this is just a one-time thing here that you got to see, but the construction of the coffin-looking American flag, the spilling of the coffee, this weird power play thing that's going on, that seems, now that you say that, it wasn't him even pulling his own strings, perhaps, it makes a lot more sense. But even that degree of sophistication, I learned this from Daniel Schmachtenberger. We sat down and he's spent some time with particularly powerful people.
Yeah.
And he told me this really harrowing story of somebody who has both the desire and the means to treat themselves like an apex predator against their own kind. And they said so. They broke the fourth wall about this and said apex predators don't care about the prey, but they saw their own kind as prey. And I asked Daniel, how does it feel to sit opposite somebody who isn't rate limited by the resources, who can not only dream to have this, plus have the motivation or lack of virtue or integrity to go ahead and consider doing it, and then has the capacity, the assets to be able to enact it.
Sure.
And it's reminding me, it's giving me this same something. It feels like it's up on the top of my head. It's giving me some sort of a sense like that.
This was intended to be terrifying. It wasn't an accident. It was intended to be as fascinating as it could possibly be, which it was, and terrifying at the same time. And it achieved both. It achieved both objectives. I mean, I was given an opportunity to meet him again. I didn't know what to do. I mean, the other thing that I just found really weird is that he knew about my research, and it turned out that he was connected to my graduate department at Harvard. So he had a connection to the Harvard math department, unbeknownst to me. I don't know when that began. I know 2 of the professors he was connected through. But this is some unholy story. It has nothing to do with Jeffrey Epstein. It has to do with whatever this thing was. We tripped over a thing. We tripped over a structure. We named the structure Jeffrey Epstein.
It must be.
That is a really, really good way of framing this. So good. And let me just say, I wish I had his jawline, and I wish I could talk in his demeanor, you know, like I swear to God, I mean that. You see my hands, you see my face, like this is not an act. This is me. This is like for real. I get into this shit, man. Like convicted. I'm all in.
Very unfortunate in some regards for whoever it was, if that's true, that was in charge of this construction. That it became that people got T-shirts with his name printed on them.
But this was already going wrong in the early 2000s. You see, my sense of this is that this was a pre-internet plan that lived into the internet age and couldn't survive contact with the internet age.
What did the internet bring in that didn't allow it to survive?
Eyeballs, discussion.
Level of surveillance.
Well, you know, there's a claim that nobody cares about Jeffrey Epstein because it's this many years later and we've all moved on. Yeah, that's completely untrue. And we know that it's true because if you start talking about Jeffrey Epstein, the engagement goes up. So you have these fictions like, you know, that are put out by mainstream media or traditional news desks, which is nobody cares about that story. Well, that you can see from social media that that's not true, from the internet. So the internet is constantly providing an ability to check whether or not these claims from inside the structure are true. And Jeffrey Epstein is an example of what I called an anti-interesting phenomenon.
What's that?
Well, an anti-interesting thing is something that would normally be fascinating. Imagine, for example, you had a story where you could get a Pulitzer Prize for breaking it. Everybody cares. You sell papers like hotcakes, blah, 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 and nobody wants to report on it. And it's like right there. You could just ask the dumbest questions and it would, like, New York Times says disgraced financier. Well, tell me, did you find his prime broker? Did you find the forms? Did you go to his offices in Villard House? No, nobody does ever.
Why?
The story is anti-interesting, and it's very different than being uninteresting.
Which would suggest more collusion, more coordination.
Hello?
Corruption.
I mean, see, this is one of the most uncomfortable things. I think there was a time when when people said collusion or coordination, the presumption was, well, that's pretty far out there. We now know, like post Elon Musk's $44 billion adventure at Twitter, that there are these coordinating groups coordinating social media with the intelligence community or with the Department of Homeland Security or with the State Department. We now know that we're living in an orchestrated, curated, choreographed world.
Absolutely.
And we can't know it officially, but we all know it if we want to know it, which is hysterical. Now we have to talk about, well, are you a conspiracy theorist? Like, I read the Slack messages. I read the emails. What are you even talking about now?
This episode is brought to you by a product I've used.
All right. So again, man, both of these gentlemen, by the way, I really I enjoyed it. They said it so well. They said it so much better than myself. And I appreciate that. And I hope if you made it this far, you enjoyed it. And I hope you understand where I'm coming from too. And I'm hoping that even if we don't share the exact same opinions or views on this, that's okay. And I sincerely, truly mean that. It's okay. But if you have something you can contribute to me, leave a comment, man. Let me know. Put it in a comment. If you've got a link I should check out, something that maybe I haven't seen, let me know. I'll give it a look. I'll give it a read. Now, you kind of know where my head's at, so it might take something strong to sway me or make me turn away from where I'm leaning, and that's also okay. And if that is presented, I'm all in. I'm good for it. And I'm hoping the same for you. Maybe if you haven't looked at this situation, this person in this certain context or light, if I gave you anything to think about, even if it's one thing, I don't care. That's a win. I'll take it. I'm here for it. And you know what? I'm not trying to persuade you. I'm not trying to make you change your mind about anything for any certain agenda or reasons. I'm just giving you stuff that intrigues me, things that I think about, and I'm hoping maybe you'll either find value in that or you can look at it from a different lens if that's what's needed or if you're interested in that. We've got a couple more things here and we're going to wrap this up. This has been has been a long one, so hopefully you're still with me here, and we're gonna carry on real quick.
You see one of my previous videos, I talked about the testimony of a Julia Bryant, who was a verified survivor of Mr. Epstein, where she talked about seeing him turn into a serpent or a lizard. And I just thought I'd share some more strange emails.
Time out. Have you heard about this? I haven't heard about this. I've heard, let's just call it the narrative. The little humans, them being eaten, the traffic king. I've heard all about that 10 times over. I have not heard this is in an email. But again, like, is this seems way off from the narrative. We're going from eating people, trafficking people, to someone being a reptilian alien, basically. And no one's really bringing this up. And this is from an alleged survivor again. So if we're just to believe everything hands down, without question, what the fuck? Where is this story? Where is this on Fox News and CNN?
Emails from the Epstein library, which deal with lizards. And please note, you can look at this information yourself. Go to justice.gov, and you can do a search on Epstein. It'll bring you to the Epstein library. Then you could just do a search on the word lizard. So I just typed in the word lizard, hit search, and it'll show you all the emails that have the word lizard in it. For example, here's one email. Does Lawton need G to take care of the lizard? I mean, maybe he had a pet lizard, or maybe that's code for something, like some type of entity that needs to be fed or taken care of.
All right, see, this is where I'm conflicted. Do I think UFOs exist? Well, yeah, I've been saying that for a very, very long time. I know you don't have a way of verifying that, but I unfortunately have to invoke the trust me, bro. I've been saying this for a very, very long time. Very good friend of mine, no longer here with us anymore, but we're going back to 2008, sitting on the back patio, having some beverages, lots of cigarettes, talking about the paranormal and aliens. This has been a thing for a while with me. But that being said, like, I just don't know that everything in this file should be, like, reading into it. And I can't say it's enough, but I feel like I have to, because this is going on the internet and people are absolutely fucking stupid. But I'm not saying this because I'm defending anybody. I'm not sympathizing with these people or person. Like, I'm saying this because it's just fucking true. Not everything has to be, like, you're not reading into everything. Now we're over analyzing. And I think that's also kind of what they want, if you ask me. Nobody did, but you got it.
Here's another email. Thank you all for last night. We all had a great time. The food was really tasty. What is the spice you had on the chicken and pork? I think Loriana said she can help out feeding the lizard as long as she does not have to touch it or clean the cage. Here's another one. I cannot find an email with a lizard.
Okay.
Here's another one. Wish I was a lounge lizard on a deserted island. That's from Valerie Post. Now, of course, this could all be a coincidence, and maybe it's just talking about some pet lizards.
It's no coincidence.
But when we look at some other things about Epstein, like that woman's testimony of seeing him appear like a lizard or a reptile.
Never heard of it.
It seemed to suggest that maybe something else is in view.
Sure. And now I have to look into this testimony, BT dubs.
Also, especially when we know that they speak in code, like when they speak about pizza. Many of you know what pizza represents.
I mean, they do, but pizza, by the way, pizza is also legitimately for, little white powder there. Surely these people wouldn't have a habit, right? No, I'm crazy for even suggesting that. You think maybe that's why the cartel problem never goes away? Right? All the war on drugs this country's been fighting for a very long time. Mexican cartels that just, you can't get rid of them. And they're still running drugs over the border here. How? How do you have a country with the number one military in the world and you can't solve that problem? That's not a red flag to anybody. And so maybe if we're looking at it from this drug epidemic and problem we have in this country, and that pizza is actually really is used for cocaine, that maybe it could have been that. Is it really so hard to believe?
It's a Pizzagate online. They can talk about having a pizza. Now, to people that aren't in the know, I mean, if you don't study these things, you might think, oh, they're just referring to pizza, but they're actually not. But feel free to share your thoughts, and feel free to do your own searches, in that library. I plan to do more. But anyway, thanks for watching.
So basically, these two psychopaths had control over everything that we wore and bought and what we smelled like when we were teenage girls.
Okay, this is the last clip. Let me just go ahead and tell you, I put this in here for a reason. While this is only one clip, I don't believe that this is the only example of this extreme behavior. This is batshit crazy. This is batshit crazy talk. Let's hear her out.
Flexner is mall culture, Victoria's Secret, Bath & Body Works, Limited, Abercrombie & Fitch. His best friend, co-conspirator, Jeffrey Epstein, basically had control of the company. That it kind of explains a lot. Why was there a fragrance called Champagne Toast? We were 12. Why was there a fragrance called Black Cherry Merlot? We were 12. There was an obsession with saltwater breeze and ocean stuff, maybe to get us into the idea that like islands smell good. The beach doesn't smell that good. Sorry. I never understood saltwater breeze till now.
All right. I hope this is a skit. Do you not see a problem with how insane this is? If this is not a skit, if she's not trying to be funny or she's not trying to mock the overly extreme leaning like conspiracies where everything means something, again, you're reaching too hard. This is insane. I really hope this is a skit. If you are still with me, if you're still watching this, if you can help me out, if you can let me know, is this meant to be funny or is this for real? Because if it's for real, this is a massive reach. And this is also the problem that this is actually real thinking too from people, where we're looking at everything and everything now means something. And it's this is fucking crazy. This is crazy.
I always thought this was a weird one. What smells good about the deep ocean? Why is anyone even thinking about the deep? Oh.
I really hope that's not real. I hope she was pretending. I don't think she was, but I hope. That being said, let's lock it up. Let's leave it here. I hope what I said, what I presented made sense. And more importantly, leave me a comment. Let me know. Do you agree with there is a lot more going on here? And it has to do with a much bigger picture of things. And even, I think, when we start going into gravity and the physics of this reality that we live in, I think that maybe it's starting to point to, if certain things got out, right, that maybe it would shine some light on what this realm actually is. If you've watched my other videos, you know why I'm saying that. So at least go back 5-6 videos for me. Check them out if you're interested. They're not all this serious. Some of this is paranormal, all kind of stuff. Anyway, something about this is off. It just feels like a misdirection. Everyone's too united. The DOJ, the government, all these people are too united. Now we're going and searching the ranch, right? All of a sudden, never mind, the ranch has been sold and under new ownership for 3 years. I don't know, man. Some of the stuff, it just doesn't sit well. Some of the emails are worded just it's very peculiar how they're worded. It's like it's scripted. And we'll have a video on that later too. Anyway, if you made it this far, thanks for joining. I hope you enjoyed it. Thank you for dealing with my elevations and my expressive demeanor and verbiage and everything else. Let me know what you think above anything. Drop me a comment. Let me know. If you have new information, you have something I should see, let me know. I appreciate you being here. Thank you. If you enjoyed it, come back again, like, subscribe. We're here for this kind of shit. Conspiracies, paranormal, typically a little more lighthearted, but we're not going to be scared to dive a little bit deeper and be a little more, convicted in our beliefs and express them. And you should be the same way. So enjoy your weekend, enjoy your Friday night. I'll see you tomorrow on Saturday. All right, take care.